This is what he wrote.
Okay.
Friday, December 5th, early, we sailed with a task force for scheduled exercises and gunnery practice, we thought. We streamed paravanes, and then we formed with a squadron of DDs, meaning destroyers, and the Chicago, the Astoria, and Lexington, and headed west. Sunday morning, 7 December 1941, at about 0900, while engaged in preparing planes for catapulting, we received a dispatch from Cinque Pack, the commander-in-chief of the Pacific Forces. Quote, "Pearl Harbor is being bombed. This is not a drill." End quote. Never, never shall I forget the horrified awe, the paled faces, the incredulous expressions as this word was passed. It was mid-afternoon before I could credit the report. We received a dispatch to intercept and destroy. We hastily prepared for action, jettisoning gangways. We jettisoned the pulling whaleboat, miscellaneous scrap. We painted our decks in bright work and busied ourselves to prepare to meet the forces which bombed Pearl Harbor. The rest of the week we cruised south of the Hawaiian Reef, but saw nothing. On Saturday, 13 December, we entered Pearl at dusk. We were last. We had to moor without lights in a deep dark to buoy C5. In itself, that was a stunt. What a calamitous sight our eyes beheld as we steamed through the harbor in the failing light. All hands topside just stood and stared. Gloom was as thick as fog. One wanted to cry. Honolulu and the panorama of the Oahu Range looked as quietly and colorfully beautiful as ever in the light of the failing sunlight. At the entrance, we saw a land plane on a reef. Weaver looked normal. I think Weaver was an airfield. Hicks and hangars showed wear. We began to feel, quote, "This is not too bad," end quote. Small harbor sweeps dashed about at their top speed. Later, we learned that at least one small two-man sub was at large in the harbor. At Hospital Point, the Navy's fate unfolded before us. We took the South Channel between Ford Island and the yard. At the juncture of the North and South Channel, we beheld the Nevada sunk to the main deck level on the spit opposite the air station, her forecastle ruptured by an explosion. Down the channel ahead, we saw 4 more battleships, 3 sunk to main deck and forecastle deck length, and the side and bottom of the turned-over Oklahoma. We passed down a mourner's queue. All were at or near their moorings along Ford Island. Last was the Arizona, her forward superstructure toppled forward, plates already browned by corrosion, fire no doubt having burned off the paint. Others in the line were the California and the West Virginia, wedging in the Tennessee against the interrupted quay. On the Navy Yard side, we saw the floating dry dock sunk, cradling a destroyer. The Maryland and Pennsylvania were unharmed, while the Pennsylvania in the old graving dock, with the Pennsylvania in the old graving dock, were 2 destroyers, demolished, fused almost by fire. Surrounding all damaged ships were bustling salvagers. Dark fell before we moored to C5. Mooring in the dark was an experience. The night was pitch black and nightmarish. While harbor patrol boats tore about, exploring reports of submarine periscopes, we fueled, gassed, and provisioned in the dark all night, fearful that ship or yard sentries would shoot up our boats. Many were yet apprehensive, and the idea was clearly revealed to shoot in case of doubt. We had our motorboat fired upon in making a ship. One of our officers was fired upon in the yard in proceeding to the commandant's office. At 1100 Sunday morning, 14 December, we sortied again and felt relieved once we were again in the open sea, clear of the nerve-racked harbor. We remained at sea until 27 December. On our return to Pearl Harbor, we remained in port 4.5 days. I was even able to get ashore 3 nights and a couple of hours in the afternoon of 31 December. New Year's Eve, all liberty and shore leave expired at 1700, preparatory to sortie early on 1 January. I was made most happy and was entirely comforted by the circumstances in which I found Anne, my mother, and the kids.